VR has so far failed to live up to the hype.
The PSVR 2 is apparently off to a very slow start.
Visionaries of VR have all jumped ship from Palmer Luckey to John Carmack.
It's no secret that PC VR gaming has stagnated at absolute best and is as dead as a doornail at worst.
I don't want to play with you anymore.
Yep, virtual reality has a problem, but it can be fixed. You see, all of this has happened before, with one of the biggest genres in video game history. What I'm talking about is the first-person shooter. You know what? All of this will make sense in a minute. Let me explain. You need to see this. Believe it or not, 1973 was the birth year of the first-person shooter genre. But it wasn't until 92 with the release of Wolfenstein 3D that we saw true mass appeal for this genre. Before then, developers were trying different perspectives, mechanics and camera controls, changing the gameplay styles and changing the meaning of what a true FPS game really is. All of that to the utter confusion and frustration of their players, even to the point of inducing motion sickness and discomfort while playing. It wasn't until 1992 that we got that, well, one big step. A step we needed to make the FPS genre the gaming pillar that it is today, and that step was standardization. Wait, doesn't this sound familiar to you? I mean, how did you feel the last time you played a VR title? Honestly, how did the switch make you feel to that one other game that you were recommended? Even after playing Half-Life Alyx, how long did it take you to figure out that no, you are not doing it wrong? This other game just does not let you distance grab and auto-smoothing for your movement. So many games love to employ this just to improve how your character looks visually to others in multiplayer games. And this last one is a big reason why so many people play games and suddenly feel motion sick even though there is nothing different visually about them. It's just that smoothing that the brain does not anticipate. But we already know about all of this, right? What if we do? And why are we always trying to reinvent the wheel? Wolfenstein in 1992 set the stage for first-person shooters. Then, with Doom in 93 and Quake in 96, we locked in the standards. These games established the core FPS control scheme, the mouse for aiming, the keyboard for movement, eventually leading to the WASD and mouse layout that became universal after players like Dennis Fresh Funk popularized it in Quake tournaments. Fun story. The visual standard for FPS games, you know, with your gun centered in the middle of the screen or to one side. That came directly from this era. It became the expected way to experience this genre. Then health bars and medkits, finite resources that had to be replenished, along with separate armor pickups that reduced damage. At this point, name me one game that does not have them. Doom also set the expectation for diverse weapons with unique strengths, like shotguns, chain guns, rocket launchers, and plasma rifles. Each weapon had its own ammo type, and ammo scarcity forced players to make tactical choices. Noticed it yet? Level design followed the pattern set by Doom. Maze-like layouts, locked doors that needed keycards, hidden secrets, and the rewards for exploration. Enemies had distinct behavior, some rushed, some stayed back. Combat combined both hit-scan weapons for instant impact and projectiles that could be dodged. A new standard in all of today's games. Doom and Quake also introduced visual damage, so visceral sound design and satisfying weapon feedback, setting again a standard for how shooting should feel. Then Quake took it to multiplayer, making deathmatch the standard competitive mode for FPS games. All this is what fueled the absolute explosion of FPS games in the late 90s and early 2000s, with Half-Life, Counter-Strike and Call of Duty becoming some of the biggest successes in video game history. Today, all of these features are a core component in any modern FPS game. It just became something you could expect. You see a new game launch, and if the story sounds fun, you can safely pick it up. These standards had you reassured that the gameplay will, at the very least, be playable. See why that's so important? But then, where is the Wolfenstein of virtual reality? Every single title, and I mean all of them, no matter how close they are to each other, offer entirely different standards. Will I be able to grab objects from a distance? Will this be physics-based or transform-based? Will objects just snap into my hand? Do I have a body or not? Can I holster? Where do I store items to my inventory? Can I even crouch? Or do I have to physically do so? why do we have to think about all of this with every new game release? I mean, Half-Life Alyx created beautiful interaction. Lone Echo gave us smooth zero-G movement. Metro demonstrated how far immersion can get us. And VRChat, bear with me, gave us a perfect example of the reach and interactivity that we can achieve with virtual reality. See? Told you. But if that's the case, then why are we not learning from these successes? When I hear about a new game that will come out, I check out the trailer, and if it sounds fun, great, let's get it. The decision is easy, the gameplay is easy to get into, controls feel familiar, and I can focus on the work that the developers have created. Nice and seamless. However, this lack of standardization creates the scenario that with every new VR release, if there is even the slightest of interest, first thing one must do is see their specific interpretation of virtual reality. I want to set you an example. Imagine if every time you went to watch a movie, instead of just seeing if the trailer convinces you, if the story sounds fun, and just deciding with that, you had to first see if the theater has seats or not, or if you have to manually crank the film to roll the movie, or if the movie was shot in 8 frames or 24 frames. I mean, I just want to know if Ohana still means family. I mean, it still makes sense, right? Sorry for that, still with me? Good, thanks. Then how do we solve this issue? How do we standardize? It is 2025. Over 10 years have passed since the first Oculus Dev Kit came out. We have better tools than ever, and the standards, they have been figured out. We just need to take a step back and see them. We know what we like. We know what mechanics feel the best. We know how players like to interact with their surroundings. We even have plenty of data on why VR nausea happens and how some games manage to prevent it. At least to a degree. Standardization is when we lean back and look at the bigger picture, where we learn from the past and create a standard for every title in this genre. We allow everyone to expect to go to the store, pick up a new game, and not worry if this particular one will give you a headache. And the only factor at play is the experience the game offers. I mean, the question shouldn't be, can I crouch? The question should be, where can I get my next upgrade? Not if it's playable, but if it's fun. Here, I'll give you an easy one. I have been a VR user since 2020, about the time when the Quest 2 launched. Because with that launch came the opportunity for people in a lower tax bracket, which is me, to be able to get into virtual reality. And I believe all of us, including me, every time when we launch a new VR game, we pretty much know exactly what we want for the settings. Smooth rotation, smooth locomotion, a bit of vignetting for good measure. As Thrill pointed out in his video, why don't we just make these settings global? Why can't I set these up in my VR headset or Steam settings so it automatically gets set in every game I launch? A solution like this could move developers to adopt standards, right? So what do we need to make standardization a reality? Well, this only works if we all work together. Every one of us out there trying to turn our dream of virtual reality into an actual reality, there is no need to reinvent the wheel. Like sure, you shouldn't be afraid of trying new things either, but learn from past mistakes and apply past successes. Talk to each other, look at what others have done, and once you are there, go ahead, improve upon it. Find new and innovative ways to get the full potential out of virtual reality, because I'm telling you that to this day we are still far from reaching it. But always keep in mind that innovation should never be to the detriment of the final experience. Learning from our past mistakes does not mean staying in your safe bubble. It means using a cylinder for your wheel instead of a box. It does not mean copying others' work. It means following the lead of the greatest. It means finding our Wolfenstein moment. And finally, giving our players the experience they expect. Give them the opportunity to see this medium the same way you and I see it. For the future of the VR industry as a whole, let's build less experimental tech demos and more of the great experiences that made us fall in love with virtual reality, so that the world can finally feel the incredible feeling we feel every time we put on our virtual reality headsets.
You know, ultimately it comes down to taste. It comes down to taste. It comes down to trying to expose yourself to the best things that humans have done, and then try to bring those things in to what you're doing.
Well said, Steve. Well said. And on that note, if you have 8 minutes to spare, I can teach you to become a virtual reality developer.